What's going on, guys? Villarreal here again with another video here in 2026. Sorry for the late video, but just wanted to go over what's been happening in the market lately and just where things have been going and where I think they're going to go here in the future. And so, yeah, just wanted to thank you guys so much for stopping by. And without further ado, let's get into the charts. The first thing I really want to talk about is Dogecoin. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably have Dogecoin. I'll put Dogecoin in the title today too, but just where is going to happen essentially in the next couple of months. I mean, just today, a 14% shoot up in price. We got to keep in mind, we have had this horrible last couple of, months for Dogecoin. Same thing with Bitcoin. This really just awful, just downwards trajectory for price, down 33%. Same thing with Ethereum. Everything's just down from 2025. So, what I want to talk about today is why I think we are kind of in a really nice spot and why I feel really confident in the price of Bitcoin at these prices, just as confident as I did a couple of years ago when Bitcoin was around like 30, 40, 50, 60K. I don't think we're ever going to see a 90K Bitcoin again. Right now we're currently trading at 90,000. This might be the last time Bitcoin is 90,000 for a while. I'm not saying it can't go back to this price, but I think today's probably gonna be one of the last days that Bitcoin might be at this price for the foreseeable future, right? Nothing is ever really certain as far as like what could happen or where prices go, but just kind of want to give you a little bit of what I have in the back of my mind as far as like what's been happening, where things are going. So the one that I really just want to highlight today is just all of the long liquidations we've seen in the last month. Now, this is not a thing saying like, hey, this is gonna be the future prices, but for like the last month, we've just been getting wrecked because we've been trading almost sideways for almost these last 2 months, right? 45-ish days. Same thing with Ethereum, trading sideways for almost, 45-ish days. And Bitcoin dominance, kind of doing the same thing, where I think right here, back in August, this price of like 135 days around the 60%. And right now we're dropping again. Now, this was a trend line that I had, foresee a couple of months ago that I had mapped out myself. Again, I don't really make videos that often, but I want to make this video today just in courtesy for myself because I know in the future when I come back and look at these videos, it'll be pretty cool, right? It's like whenever this Da Vinci guy made his first video about buying not Dogecoin, but like Bitcoin at $1. Like this is the last thing you like, kind of stuff like that. Just like letting myself know that like where I was a couple of years ago wasn't crazy, and people weren't gonna call me crazy, right? And so, what I really want to highlight today is just Bitcoin dominance for like the last few years, right? Because I mean, if you look at all this upward price action, this is almost 3 years worth of data. And for the first time, we're breaking down again. And I don't know if you guys know anything about alt season or, what happens during that time or the amount of just explosion and appreciation, especially from the retail investor side. Because I don't know if you know this, but majority of this price for Bitcoin has been from institutional investors. Like if we look at when the Bitcoin ETF first launched out, which was in 2025 when they had their first spot Bitcoin ETF, right? We had a really nice pump, but we were up 30% essentially for the whole year of 2025, right? Obviously, we did have this minor correction going into March when, Trump got elected. There was more FOMO, not want to say FOMO, but like more scaredness in the market where people weren't really sure where things were going to go. There was high tariffs. There was a lot of uncertainty in the market at that time. Versus like now, there's still that uncertainty, but I kind of see this trade in this channel above here. And again, if you really higher low here, 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 and then over here when these started back in 2022, 2023-ish time frame, we've had this massive rally. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I made this video back in 2023 going into 2024, and this price action that we were seeing at that time was just absolutely insane. Like this is postmark October 23rd, 2023. And I was talking about Bitcoin just 35K. And I'm talking about like, let's get this stuff going, right? 31,500. We're about to hit $600. And if we go on the daily, we are actually breaking new all-time highs on the hourly. So as I was editing that last video for you guys, which you're about to see right now, Bitcoin just hit $35,000 or roughly $34,800 in like less than a minute. And it's still climbing back up, as you can see. Just saying, I'm getting the same things right now, the same feelings, the same urges that I had back then and back in 2023. And I think right now where we're at, this is not hopium or just trying to like make our own horn toot, but like since that time when we had that price action, we had this whole entire rally after that point. If you really look at it, like we broke the trend line off that rally initially. But this is the first time that I actually feel like, hey, like Bitcoin's actually kind of cheap at this price, man. Like I might have to tell some of my friends and family to start buying more of it. Just because, like, if you think about it at this price range, like who's been buying Bitcoin? And I can testify, right? Like, I'm only going to be buying Bitcoin, like realistically, when it's cheap. I'm going to be selling it when it's high, right? Like buy low, sell high, right? But right now, what we're seeing is just remarkable to me that this is like the first time that we've traded below this signal since 2023. And it blows my mind that people are scared right now. Like, if you go look at fear and greed, right now, it's neutral, right? We were previously fearful. If you go look at for crypto, right? Crypto fear and greed, like we're at kind of like that neutral level. But if you look at where we were like a couple of weeks ago, back in November, we were seriously at all-time fear. Like that's what that says. We were fearful in the last month. And I think right now at the current prices where they sit, again, not to toot my own horn, but I mean, this could be a local bottom for us again here for 2026. And you're like asking me like, how could this be a bottom? Like everybody's saying this is not the bottom. This is, time to sell. Again, super fearful. The one thing I do want to point out though is the historical returns for Bitcoin. Now, this is something that's really interesting to me, and I didn't make a video about it because I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out. But now that I've kind of had the prophecy and it kind of closed it out, and I was talking about it with a couple of friends and Discord servers. But if you look at the current price of what Bitcoin is, right, for Q4 2024 or 2025 Q4 negative 23%. Now, what's special about this price? What's really special about this price is that this is the first time that we close Q4 post-halving year negative. Super interesting, right? Like if you go look at 2024 halving year, 47%, negative 23 the next year, right? First time. Go look at 2020, 168, closes Q4 positive. You go look at 2016, post-halving year, 2020 or 2017, 215%, right? Like you have these positive Q4 months post-halving and the halving year. And we were expecting there to be like 180K Bitcoin. Like where was 188 like Bitcoin? Like that was the price target that we were all going to go to. What happened to Bitcoin? Like what is happening? Like I have no idea like why everyone is so fearful right now when this is probably the most opportune time to be buying Bitcoin. The other thing I want to point out is like Dogecoin, like I was saying, like, this is probably the start of a candle that is going to be pretty huge, in my opinion. If I look at the halving years for Dogecoin, again, not saying this is what's going to happen, but you see this price appreciation that happens almost instantaneously. Like right there, you had it. You had this one right here. You had that. But where's the one for this halving year, right? We only had this little baby one. Or is this a ascending triangle or a descending triangle, right? Where, we're going to essentially just keep trading this range. And then, like Dogecoin might be one of the coins that nobody's really expecting to blow up in price. But it actually might be the one coin that does do pretty well this year in 2026. The other thing I really want to look at is, again, Bitcoin. First time that we've been trading below this ascending line for the last almost 2 years, right? This has been roughly 756 days, and you guys can't see it, of course, right? But this is the first time that Bitcoin has traded this low in a while. And, not to to my own horn say this is going to be a bottom and this is going to be, and again, nothing in here is financial advice, right? Like, this is something that's happening. I'm calling it by play. But it, again, like, where was 180K Bitcoin? Like, that was supposed to be priced in. We didn't get it. We almost try to go do higher highs than 120, but I think this is a really healthy rally. Now, I do want to change what's been happening, like the perspective that's shifted. These Bitcoin ETFs. When I was making my video here at 35K, I was like, this is going to be huge. These Bitcoin ETFs are going to be huge for the price of Bitcoin, right? We almost did a 4X from 30K all the way up to 120K. But the one thing I want to point out is, how did the year to date for these Bitcoin ETFs pan out? These Bitcoin ETFs ended up getting cheaper in that year that they came out, right? We have down 6%, down 6%. So if imagine this. This is a scenario. You go to your hedge fund manager. He's like, hey, we have a new Bitcoin ETF. We want to get you involved in it, right? They get you bought in. They get you buying all of the hype, right? Essentially, that's what would have been the time that people like me and you would have been selling. But think about it. What's happening right now? End of year. People are tax loss harvesting or capitalizing on their losses on their ETFs, because you can do that in crypto. And we were, again, if you look at the price, we were up almost 30% in that same time that Bitcoin went from the launch date to that time. 34%. Again, if you had to ask me, why did people pull out? Imagine you get 30% returns on your investment for literally just sitting on, like, maybe you had a little bit of money in those ETFs, right? Now you can pull it out, have a little bit of profit, and buy back in cheaper this year. Now, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but, there's a lot of stuff that's pointing towards crypto to be a positive moving asset this next year. Now, I want to show this video that I had pulled up recently, and forgive me that I don't have it pulled up right. This is the video that I saw. This is the video that I saw from Tyler S. And it shows gold, silver, and Bitcoin and their prices. Now, if you were here back in 2025, like, gold during that same time between October and here, right? This is whenever we had that October crash. But since gold has gone up, Bitcoin has gone down. Now, I don't know if you know this about Bitcoin, but when gold goes down, right here, like, we were kind of tracking along the same way, we had a downwards revision. Well, the minute that it started going up, we started decopulating from it. Same thing with silver. Silver's been going up kind of to the same trend line of gold, but what's the one thing that hasn't really gone up? Bitcoin. Now, what's really exciting about this is this creates a golden opportunity, in my opinion, for most buyers, not only for the ETF, but also retail investors that are just wanting to buy spot Bitcoin. And again, the best thing to do in this case scenario is to not get liquidated, to not trade on leverage. Because if you look at this right here, almost, I would say, there's $500 million of longs liquidated on the 30th, $500 million, a little under $500 million on December 1st, and then a little under 300 or $0.3 billion. Again, another $225 billion, another $500 million. Like, just in the last month, there has been over probably $3 to $5 billion worth of liquidations just for longs. Now, if you know anything about the markets, essentially what's happening is you have all of these people that are trading on long leverage that are getting wrecked at these sideways momentum of trading. And everybody's kind of just FOMO, right? They're fear of missing out, like, on the 10x leverage long. Now, what's going to happen is the inverse of that. As people are getting wrecked going down, people are going to get wrecked going up. Now, again, prime opportunity. This is the trade. We have a cross right here on the alligator trend line. We broke. Again, this ascending channel. Again, if you want to kind of move it down this way, it's been broken for the last couple of weeks. But that's not to say that we don't, overcorrect, right? Like, we've had overcorrections in the past. for Bitcoin. And that's not the first time that it happens, but nonetheless, want to use this video, a lot of rambling, but just put my opinion out there. I think my opinion for you guys has changed as I've looked through all the comments that I've gotten in the past. Like, just going back on my videos that I've have on here, like, I've gotten so many comments of, like, keep doing it. Just so, like, a lot of that's been motivating me. But I wanted to make this video for you guys again, just so you could hear what I'm thinking, what other people in the market are thinking. I think that's super important, is conversation and critical thinking. So, do I think prices this year are going to change dramatically? I think, honestly, to just put everything into conclusion, Bitcoin's going up again this year. Dogecoin is going to make new all-time highs here shortly. How do I know this? I really don't, but this is also financial advice. But I thought I would maybe put something out there. I see a lot of people making YouTube videos right now. Crypto YouTube videos are at an all-time low, and so, like, I want to make the videos that I want to watch. I want to be positive. I want to be uplifting. So if you guys are agreeing with that, like, feel free to leave a subscribe. Feel free to follow me. Again, hopefully we can make some more videos here this upcoming year. But yeah, appreciate you guys for watching.